Welcome to the Amina Njoroge Show. I'm your lovely host, Amina Njoroge. And tonight we are having our Valentine's Day special episode with our guest couple, Georgia and Steve Hutchinson. And Georgia and Steve, how are you?
So we're doing very well. Thank you.
You guys look well. You look amazing.
Thank you.
So I'm just so excited because many of you may know or not know, I've known Georgia Bryce for a while, and she has influenced my life in such a great way. And I've told her this before. I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing if
Wow.
it wasn't for her book. It planted such a powerful seed in my life, and it literally was the tool that God used to just really push me into my destiny and just step out and just birth out the things that he told me to birth out. So I just want to first of all say that Georgia, what God is using you to do with in family therapy, one-on-one therapy, teaching people about self-discovery. Let me tell you, those seeds are producing fruit. I don't care what no one say,
Yeah.
but I know I am a product. I'm a fruit of that book. So I thank God for your obedience for writing your book. But we're not here to talk about that tonight. We are here to talk about this love couple. Okay. So I want to know, first of all, just share with us your love story. How did you guys meet and all of that good stuff?
What they say, the typical story, I guess. I had known Steve since I was a kid. Actually, we grew up in the same neighborhood back home in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica. Interestingly enough, I was a playmate with his sister, his only sister. Well, no, you got two sisters. Yeah. So his
Mm-hmm.
younger sister and I were playmates between ages 7 to 10, I believe, 7 to 12. And I actually would go by his house and play with her quite often. But Steve would never, he would never talk because he was pretty shy back then. And of course, we're kids. He's a little bit older, so he wasn't necessarily interested in whatever he and his sister and I were doing. So I left home at age 12. I went to boarding school, and I never really came back home since that time frame. And so I had not seen Steve in easily over 30 years. Yeah, easily over 30 years. And so back in September of 2020, I was out having lunch with a friend of mine. We're discussing business. And I remember before my friend arrived, I asked the waitress if she would take a photo of me. So I took a photo. She took a photo. I posted it on Facebook. And then maybe about a half an hour later, I got an inbox on Facebook. So it was some guy who was just telling me, just saying hi, whatever it was. And I said, hi, how are you? And then maybe about 10 minutes later, Steve sent me an inbox. Um, and he said to me, not only are you, what was the word? Not only are you elegant, you're very sexy. And I'm like, okay, all
Okay.
right, thank you very much. So, it was just two different people who sent me, an inbox within the space of 10 minutes. And I was busy with my friends. I wasn't really paying attention. I just said, thank you very much. And then I just moved on. And I had not recognized that it was him. And so the next day I was getting ready. I went to a friend of mine. She had a birthday party. And when I got home, I kind of felt prompted to go back into the inbox to look at his information. And then I went and I scrolled through his profile because I'm like, Steve Hutchinson, I don't know why that name sounds very familiar, but I wasn't too sure. And then when I went into his profile, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Steve from 30 plus years ago when we were kids. And so I reached out to him and I asked him, are you this person's brother? And do you have this younger brother? And he said, yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, we haven't communicated in over 30 years. How are you doing? And we kind of went back and forth for a couple of, maybe for about 20 minutes or so. Um, and then, of course, the therapist in me kicked in. I started asking him a bunch of questions, and he'll tell you I was asking him some really serious questions, like, where are you now? Are you married? Are you in a relationship? All that kind of stuff I was asking him. And then I think it was the following day, he asked me for my number, and I gave him my business number, and he called me, and we had a conversation on the phone, and that was from September 2020, and we haven't stopped talking. since then. Like literally
Wow.
every day since we started, we connected back in 2020. We've been talking. Sounds about right.
Wow. Now,
That's
Steve,
my
do you want to
perspective.
add on to the story?
Oh, I have to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
I know she's been on Facebook for a while, but I haven't really contacted her or anything like that, until that time. But I sent her a friend request and she accepted it. And she's not the type of person that just accepts friend requests. Just last night, I was going to her phone. She has 449 people that she has not received, accepted their friend. They're just there, 449. So anyway, she accepted it. That was a while ago. That's probably like in 2017. She accepted my friend request, but I've never spoken to her then. But I always kind of try to browse through her, profile, see what's up, what she's doing. And so one time I saw her at one of her friends' wedding, but for some reason I just imagined that it was her getting married. So I said, "Congratulations on your wedding." And she said, "Are you speaking this over my life?" I'm like, maybe I put my foot in my mouth is what I was thinking, because I'm like, no, not speaking that unless it's me that you're gonna get, this is all internal, of course. But anyway, go back to the night in question, and I texted her that night, and I said what I said, and she said thank you, but she didn't respond. She didn't say anything else after that, you know. And then I was thinking, oh Lord, I done messed up calling this woman, telling her that she's sexy. I sound like a pervert. So I was being hard on myself a little bit, And I'm like, man, I shouldn't have said that, Even though she said thank you, she's just being nice, is what I was thinking. Anyway, I was hard on myself all night. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have said nothing. Man, shouldn't have said anything. But anyway, the next day, I was up and about doing my own thing. I checked my phone and I saw a message from her. I'm like, oh, she responded. And that's when she started inquiring if I was, Malvia's, that's my sister's name. She said, I'm Malvia's brother. I'm like, yeah, you don't remember me? She said, yeah, but the Stevie I know didn't talk. So when I'm talking now, and I guess curiosity got the better of her at first because she knew me to be very timid, um, shy, and I just wouldn't engage anybody. And she was like, Steve, I'm like, yeah, I've had a crush on you from ever since you were small. And I think she took that bait. And
Okay.
she was like, really? And you never said anything? I'm like, you're crazy. I'm not going to say anything. And she couldn't believe it. She was like shocked. She like, in her young days, she had a little make-believe boyfriend. And I said, yeah, the make-believe boyfriend and whatever. But that didn't stop. I still liked you, but I didn't say anything. She said, you waited this long. I said, this is the right time, And like she said, she gave me her business number. And after talking about 2 days, she gave me her real number. I'm like, wait a minute. What was that? She said she never gives out her personal number to anybody at first. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then from there we just
We haven't stopped.
blossomed.
We haven't stopped
We
talking.
have missed a day, a minute. I mean, even now when we're married, we still do the same thing. Nothing has changed. Everything that every single protocol that we established is still being followed through. Nothing is left unchecked. Nothing is left to chance. Everything is intentionally, surveyed and gone over and checked and double checked and make sure everything is working. It's what a relationship requires. If a serious relationship that you really care about the individual, you will put that effort, that extra effort into it to make sure you're not missing anything. There's no broken bolts. There's no, any wires chafed. Everything is in order, pretty much. Every part is running optimally.
Well, I think I need to stop ignoring these Facebook inboxes
No,
and
you
Instagram
can't afford
DMs.
to ignore them.
I
You
need to
can't
stop
afford to
ignoring them
ignore
because
them.
my husband could be in there. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I love that because you have people that they don't agree with the online dating or meet someone on social media, but hey, it's a lot of great marriages that have came out of those types of connections. So y'all check y'all inbox. Now I think
I
that
really was.
mhm.
I'm sorry. I really wasn't a recipient of this online thing, but because I knew her from my childhood, I was like, well, this is the only way I'm going to talk to her. So, hey, so I took that chance, I took that opportunity, and it led to something positive. Can't say I regret a minute of it. I'm enjoying it.
Yes, and,
That
and,
is,
and, and it looks like you are definitely enjoying yourself. Now, I like that you said that, you are introverted. So, and I know Georgia Bryce is definitely very extroverted. She loves to talk. So we can definitely say opposites do attract.
let me tell you a funny thing. You just said that. She likes to talk, and she thinks I talk more than her, knowing from where I came
He
from.
talks a lot. No,
I'm
he
like,
does.
listen, no,
Him chat no.
it's not possible. But
Well, I
but
think
she
that's
brings up.
good because I think that it should be one that I guess talks more than the other. Because I don't think if I was a real quiet person, I don't know. Like I think the opposite attracting is good. It's I think it's a way that God draws out things in us to kind of balance us out. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
that's good. Now I do
I
want
can't.
to ask you guys. Now we do have people right now that they're still in their waiting season, and especially those that are over 30. And I just want to start with Georgia. Just what
Okay.
advice can you give to those that are feeling a bit discouraged because they've hit that 30 and up mark, and they're like, okay, where is this person at? Just what advice would you give to that single that's over 30 and just feeling a little discouraged in that waiting season?
Pretty loaded, Amina. And I say loaded because I remember when I was single and I would listen to the advice that's being given by other people. I'd be like, well, you could say anything you want to say. But now that I'm on the other side, I get it. So I got married. I could say it that I got married around it was literally 2 days before my 45th birthday. So I had been waiting to get married for a very, very long time. If things had gone my way, I would have gotten married at age 28. I would have had my kids by age 30 because that was a plan that I had in mind for myself. But it didn't happen. I had to wait. I'd been actively praying for a husband since I was 23 years old. And it took 20 plus years before that thing actually manifested. What advice I give? I think you opened up so beautifully when you talked about the book that I wrote, On Your Way to Meeting You, The Journey That Changes Everything. And again, congratulations on all the great work that you're doing. You're evolving and you're flourishing, and I love what I see. So when I hit age 28, that was the drop dead date for me, for want of a better word. And I said to myself prior to 28, if I had not gotten married by age 28, I was gonna lose my mind. So I get to 28, nothing happens. 29, nothing happens. 30 years old, 2 years off my established mark. I had an epiphany of some sort. I kind of woke up and realized that, you know what? Maybe this ideal or this idea I had established for myself may not necessarily fit the narrative that I have in mind for my life. I'm now 30 years old and I wasn't seeing anybody at the time. There wasn't any prospect on my horizon. And so I had to come to terms with the fact that maybe God's plan for my life is different from this dominant story that society touts a lot. Because truth be told, where did I get 28 years old from? Where did I pull that from? Which is something, unfortunately, a lot of us, especially single women, tend to do. Somewhere along the line, we hear these narratives being pushed around us that says by this age this has to happen, and by this age that has to happen. And then when it doesn't happen, when our lives don't fit into that mold or conform to that quote unquote standard, that's when all of the agitation and all of the emotional turmoil begins to arise, because there's this thing that we've latched ourselves onto. There's this timeline that we've latched ourselves onto, and when we're not meeting that timeline, it becomes a problem. And so I was there. I struggled with that just as much as any other single woman struggled with. But then during that time frame too, God started doing something inside of me. I got involved with a mentoring program with the late Dr. Miles Monroe. And so this idea of the self-discovery process began to get awoken inside of me. And so I started recognizing that, you know what, there may be more to life than just the husband and the dog and the cat, the white picket fence, and two kids. at least at this stage of my life. Maybe there is more that I need to discover. Maybe there's more I need to pursue. And so I kind of parked this idea of I need to get married at this point in time to really begin focusing on my life, focusing on what it is that I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I started thinking more in terms of purpose, in terms of vision, in terms of the legacy that I wanted for myself. And a series of things started happening. As you know, my background is engineering. Left that career after almost 10 years, went into marriage and family therapy. And so I've literally switched my entire life during the time frame when I was waiting, because I didn't know that's exactly what it was. God shifted my mind from being preoccupied with being married and getting children at that time to really begin tapping into what it was he had in mind for me, his original intent. And so, what's my advice for women who are waiting, who have hit 30 and they're still waiting? They've hit 35 and they're still waiting, worried about this timeline, worried that you're running out of time. I've always said, but based on whose timing and whose clock? What are you tying that idea to? What are you tying that expectation to? That's just something that we bought into. Everybody has a unique life. Everybody has a unique trajectory that God has established for you. Not everybody's going to fit a certain kind of time frame. And when you start getting comfortable with who you are and start pursuing who you are, then it becomes a lot easier to take that pressure off of yourself that says, I have to have this thing done at this particular time. What you're being afforded, whether you really realize it or not, Amina, is time to pursue you. And so what you've been doing, even in your own capacity, you stepped out and you're doing great things at this point in time. And you're just at the tip of the iceberg. You want to be able to capitalize on that time frame, because when a husband comes or a partner comes, it's a different ballgame. Your life, you don't have that time just to just do whatever you want to do because you're thinking about somebody else. Just today, I had a Zoom call where I had to present around 11 o'clock. Then I had another call come in right after somebody was asking me to do another presentation. Two people, as a matter of fact, called before getting on this call with you. And I remember in the pause, my husband was like, how is it that your day just got busy all of a sudden? I'm like, you know? So, and I had to be mindful of that. It's not like when I was running around being single that I could do whatever I want to do, when I want to do it, how I wanted to do it. But when I had the chance to do it, I did. So that's the advice that I would give to anybody who's sitting in your audience right now, thinking that I'm running out of time. No, the only time you're really running out of is capitalizing on what it is that God has put you here in the earth to do, because that does not change.
I love that. And Steve, what advice would you give, or is it a little different for the men, or do you feel the same way as your wife feels?
Well, definitely different process procedures for guys. You know, um, for one thing, whenever you're trying to get to know yourself, you know, you have to make intentional preparation in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul, in your every vital part of your being. You have to make preparation to accommodate another person, because this is not a light thing that anyone should take. It should not be taken lightly, because if you take it lightly, then it's going to end lightly. It's not going to last. You have to put fortitude. You have to put yourself into that mindset. You have to be comfortable with it. It cannot be a burden, because what happens to burdens is that people try to get rid of them eventually. At some point they get rid of burdens. So whatever thought process you have, whatever you want for someone, you have to be comfortable within yourself to want to accommodate someone in your life. You're making the decision to be with somebody. You have to be willing to walk the entire length of the path that's laid before you. So in hindsight of that, your mental preparation has to be there. You know, a lot of guys are stuck in this mindset that they can't be with one woman. But truth be told, a woman that is treated in the right manner occupies a space that is vastly superior
to the mindset where, guy think that another woman should be in here, or two women or three women. One woman is more than enough to occupy your mindset. So much more that you don't have time to think about nobody else. You understand? It pulls you, it fills your mind. Everything you do, everything you become, everything you think, it just automatically shifts to that other person, because now it's not just you, it's us. So for me, I grew into that. I accepted that. That became a part of me. What I desired. This is what I'm looking for. So in my mind, I have these substandards that, whichever woman fits this, that's going to be the woman. You have to have these guidelines in order for you to, meet the right person. For people, different people will be different things. Some people are drawn to physical aspects of people. Some are drawn to the mental, the intellectual, whatever, but you have to commit to it. You have to be intentional about it, And so for me, it was easy for me because I've already saturated my mind, my thoughts, my heart, everything with whoever it is. I am going to pour everything out. I'm not going to hold anything back. So when she came in, I mean, I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park, because that would not be accurate. She was not a walk in the park. I've never been interrogated before in my life, but I can honestly say that I've been exposed to some level of interrogation that far super. I don't even know why I answer some of these questions. I don't even know why I answer their questions, to tell you the truth, because it wasn't anything that I falsified. It came from within. It just came out, and that's what she wanted to hear, and that's how I felt. So it wasn't anything misleading. Everything that came out of my mouth was genuine, because this is what I anticipated. This is what I wanted, and it just so happened that when you see, and that's why she said, if God is not in the midst of whatever it is you're doing, you're subjecting yourself to failure. Yes. When God is involved, failure is not an option. Even when you do things, you might do one thing that's off, only God has the ability to turn it around for the good and for work out in your favor. I've never been questioned. I have never been questioned about something particular, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or where do you see it going forward from here? And I answer that question. And later, and like a day or so again, that same question is asked me a different way. And then 2 more days, that same question is asked again on a totally revamped, but because I'm getting used to her flow, So I'm like, wait a minute. But I don't say, like, you just asked me that question. I answer it like I just hear it for the first time. But guess what? It's the same answer. The answer doesn't change. So you have to listen. You have to pay attention. Small details with a woman of Georgia's caliber, it can't be taken lightly. And I'm telling you, she has that energy, that presence that can scare a guy if you're not careful.
Really? Little old me.
I'm not even gonna pretty that up. There's no prettying that up. That's just how it is. But for me, I didn't see any of that. All I saw was this attractive woman that I've known for a very long time, and I've got this opportunity to talk to her, and come hell or high water, I'm going to do that. Comes what may, because this is where my mind was, so I drove with everything. I didn't leave anything reserved. Everything came forward. Everything went forward. And it worked out. As a result of it. She married me, so I mean, you put in the hard work, you reap the benefits, is what I'm saying.
Amen. And I love that. I think that's just so beautiful what you're saying. And you guys, we are going to take a very quick commercial break. We're going to be right back, so you all stay tuned.
Welcome to the RX Hair Fix Treatment Center, where we fix your hair. You come in, I can use the scope and get a closer look to figure out and to find out what's going on with your hair and scalp. As you can see, there's product buildup on this scalp. You see the strands of hair, the different colors of hair, and more. So come and see us. See you soon.
Hello, family and friends. Want to just remind you to tune in every Wednesday night to the Amina Njoroge Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Revelation Network. Streaming on Roku, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. I don't want you to miss it. We're going to be having some amazing guests on each week, authors, preachers, community leaders, and gospel artist performances. And I don't want you to miss it. So make sure that you are following us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube page so you can keep up with our behind the scenes and upcoming guests. So make sure that you go ahead and support us and tune in every week, and I'll see you guys soon. And don't forget, if you would like to be a sponsor, you can sow into the ministry through our Cash App or PayPal. Our Cash App is $AN Ministries, and our PayPal is AminaNjorogeMinistries@gmail.com. So I want to thank you all for your continued support, and you all be blessed. Welcome back to the Amina Njoroge Show. I'm your lovely host, Amina Njoroge, and we're continuing on our interview tonight with our special couple, Georgia and Steve Hutchinson, as we're learning more about their love story and how the married life is treating them so far. So you guys, we've learned how you guys have met. You've given us some advice for those of us like myself that's still waiting. And I'm just feeling so encouraged throughout this whole interview. Now, I want to ask this question. I've heard married couples who've been married for a long time, and they'll always say that the two people becoming one, it takes a lifetime. It's not an overnight thing. Can you just share, what are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that that's true? Or is it just two people come together, they get married, and just that becoming one, it just happens right away?
No, I don't necessarily think it happens right away. I think there's some level of intentionality to that. And I think the whole idea of a lifetime perhaps is true, because the truth is we evolve. We are never the same person every year, if you want to extend that far. We're constantly evolving as individuals. The relationship itself is constantly evolving. So we're going to be getting to know our partners, the different dimensions to that individual as time progresses. And that's going to be ongoing. I'm going to be getting to know myself more. Steve is going to be getting to know himself more. And that's just a lifetime. As long as you're on the planet, there's always growth that's occurring. So I definitely agree with that. It's not something that happens in a vacuum. It's something that you have to be intentional with. And I could say that because I'm a therapist, so I know. Getting to know your partner is something that you have to be intentional. Staying connected with your partner in terms of knowledge of that individual is something that you have to be intentional, because the flip side is true. When you hear a lot of divorces occurring, what are they saying? We grew apart because irreconcilable differences, or we grew apart, meaning we grew distance to each other because we weren't intentional with staying connected and constantly updating our understanding or our knowledge of who the other person is. So yeah, I definitely agree.
And Steve, what are your thoughts?
It's like having a car. You have to upkeep it. You have to change the oil, you got to change bad parts, you got to change tires from time to time. The relationship has the basic principles. For us, we have endeavored to address any small cracks, leaks, chips, whatever that arises. Never leave anything to chance. A disagreement, a small thing, as you may have said unintentionally, that might hurt her feelings or hurt my feelings, is something to bring up and say, listen, I didn't appreciate, I'm not trying to be hard or come at you any kind of way. You said something today that kind of bothered me. Oh, what did I say? Maybe I wasn't aware of it. And you outline that, and then we address it, and we correct it. It might seem small and insignificant, but addressing those small issues when they arise, never cover them over, because the more small issues that arise, the more the foundation weakens, and then that one time is just going to shatter because you keep ignoring those small. You need to address them and resolve them. And I think that's the key to maintaining a healthy, good, healthy, strong relationship, and just be mindful of the other person. You know what I mean? Georgia likes to go out and eat.
Everybody knows that.
And that's not something I'll ever try to, I'll take away from her. I'll take her out. I'll be at work and I'm getting off early. I'm like, what you doing? Let's go out and have some lunch, or let's go have dinner today, or whatever. And she gets excited. If you want to see her get excited, just tell her you're gonna take her out to dinner. It doesn't even matter if it's, well, not McDonald's. I wouldn't go that far, but it don't matter where you take her, just as long as she can sit down, we can have some us time. That's important. That's very important.
And that definitely maintains the connection.
And the fact that she's in the house, that she works from home, it alleviates that stressful atmosphere of working in the office, and just getting her out, fresh air, smile, breathe away, talk about stuff, whatever bothers, whatever excitement she has to share. And that's why I'm here, and that's why she's there. She listens to me too, because I have a lot of experience day to day on the road with people, and sometimes I need to talk about it. So that's a cushioning that each one provides for each other.
I love that. So it takes time for two people to really become one. So I love that. And as we are closing out, I do want you guys to just let our audience know how they can follow you on social media and get connected, because I know, Georgia Bryce, you have your personal page as well as your business pages. So for those who want to plug in, how can they connect with you?
I'm very prolific on Facebook. Whether it's Georgia Bryce, you're following Georgia Bryce-Hutchinson, my personal page, or I have a business page, Building Families According to Pattern. Either one, you could send a friend request. Make sure you send me a note that says I met you on Amina show. So then I'll accept the friend request, because honestly, it's very hard accepting everybody, and I don't have time to do it all the time. So yeah. And then I'm also on LinkedIn as at Georgia Bryce, where I'm doing a lot more work in terms of mental health. I do a lot of posts. I do a newsletter as well. Anything that's designed centering relationships, marriage, couples. That's a platform that I also have content, and that will be a good place to connect with people as well.
And Steve, did you want to give out any of your social media handles?
I don't
Have hers.
If you connect with Georgia, you connect with Steve.
They're one, y'all. They're one. They're one. That's
There you
right.
go.
You get me. If you find her, you find me.
Right now, yes, because I see you all over her page, so it's awesome. So I just want to thank you guys so much for just sharing your love story and just the amazing advice that you gave out on tonight. And I know that our audience truly were blessed. And I hope you guys are going to have a great Valentine's. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to see you all next week, and you all be blessed.